Hello. So there's this new battle event where you can get a fancy name card, and I've heard a lot of people complain that it was a mavuika check, and that the event was only for whales and so on, so I decided to clear it using only 4-star units. The rules are simple, we can only use 4-star units with 4-star weapons, and the battle pass weapons are not allowed. And quick reminder, you can use foot buffs for the event, so for most of the video I will be using the 5-star dish with a pyro buffing potion. So let's get going. The first chamber gives you a bonus on Night Soul aligned damage, but since our only Night Soul options are Auroron and Kachina, we're just going to completely ignore it and use the good old national team. And here the strat is very simple. We set up our abilities on floor 15 before the enemy spawns, and we do a full national rotation. The goal here is to kill this guy with at least 20 seconds left on the clock, so we can jump straight to floor 19. And here we only care about one thing, applying as much pyro as possible. So we go on the side to group both of them together, pop Guoba and Bennett's burst, we pyro infuse Sucrose's burst, and after using Xiangling's burst, we go back to Sucrose and spam N1C, so one normal attack into a charge attack. This is going to apply a lot of anemo, which is going to swirl the pyro between both enemies, and once we applied enough pyro on them, they are just going to disappear. And then we can just peacefully clear floor 20 without caring about the timer, and we're done with chamber 1. The second chamber gives you a bonus on Vaporize and Melt damage, and since floor 19 has 2 Hydro-infused enemies, this is the perfect occasion to play a Monopyro or an Overload team, so we bring in Gaming and Auroron. We start in floor 15, and after a little bit of setting up, we quickly do a short rotation to kill all of the enemies before 20 seconds, so we can jump straight to level 19. And here we position in the middle and set up all of our abilities before the enemies spawn, and we're going to try to zigzag between both enemies to hit both of them with our first Pyronado, while doing some big plunges on the way with our Gaming. And once our Pyronado runs out, we're going to go to the side so we can group both of them together, and we start another rotation. And honestly, I kinda unga-boonga'd my way through it, and despite my Gaming being C1 and my Auroron being C0, I still managed to clear it on my first attempt. The third chamber gives a bonus to characters that deal swirl damage, and while this might look like Mizuki bait, it's actually really good for our Nemo DPSs, so we're going to play a National Core with Heizou and Farzan. We start by doing a half rotation on floor 15, and here the goal is to clear with 12 to 16 seconds left on the timer so we can jump to floor 17. Then we do a full rotation to kill those Mytho Trolls, and we want to clear with 16 to 20 seconds left on the clock, and with all of our bursts ready for floor 19. Then we stand in the middle and pre-set up Bennett and Farazan's bursts, and group both mobs as soon as they spawn with Heizou's burst. We quickly grab the energy buff, and now we want to stay on field with Heizou as much as possible. We're also going to do a lot of N1C on Heizou because I believe it deals more damage, and since we got the energy buff, we just need to funnel a single Bennett E into Xiangling, and after cycling through all of our abilities again, we go back to Heizou to finish off the Vaishap, and we clear chamber 3. Chamber 4 gives a massive damage buff to your team if you trigger healing. But the problem is that our only good option is Bennett, which is unreliable for this buff since he can't heal you when you're above 70% HP. So we're going to bring back Heizou, this time holding Prototype Amber so he can consistently give the healing buff to the whole team. We start with pre-buffing by setting up all of our abilities before starting the fight, and here I'm going to do a very specific rotation with optimal particle funneling so I can clear floor 15 with 20 seconds left on the clock, while still getting enough energy to have all of my bursts ready for floor 19. Then we stand in the middle and set up our abilities again before the wave spawns, and we're going to go to the side to make the other operative dash towards us, And then we can quickly slap all of our AoE abilities to deal some quick damage. Then we quickly grab the energy buff, which allows us to on-field heizou a lot longer for some extra damage. And after trying to position in a way that keeps them grouped, we pop all of our bursts again, and we clear chamber 4. Chamber 5 gives you massive damage bonuses when you trigger Night Soul bursts, so we really want to put a Natlan character in here. And as weird as it may look, I got the best results by replacing Bennett with Auroron in the good old national team. Also, floor 19 has 2 very tanky enemies that really don't like to group together. So instead, we're going to try to clear floor 18 with 12 seconds left on the clock so we can skip straight to floor 20. We start by presetting up our burst before starting the run, and Auroron's burst taunt is a pretty good way to group up the Rune Graders, making the clear a lot more consistent. We clear with 16 to 20 seconds left on the clock to get to floor 18, and quickly grab Globa's Pepper on the way. And here, we're going to set up Auroron's burst right in front of where the Flying Drake spawns, and quickly grab the energy buff on the way before setting up the rest of our abilities. And since Auroron's burst taunts, it's going to allow us to consistently group the big guy right next to the flying one, so we can hit both of them with Xingqiu's E. Then we quickly dash behind the big guy because he tends to backpedal in the opposite direction he's facing, but as soon as he attacks we dash back to the flying guy and pop Auroron's burst and Globa before finishing them off with Sucrose. And that's it! We cleared every floor 20 using only 4-star units with 4-star weapons, allowing us to get the name card. So yeah. Overall, I don't think the DPS check is nearly as bad as a lot of people say, but it's still very far from a perfect event. I enjoyed it because I like combat events that push me to play my characters optimally, but it would have probably felt better to play if new waves spawned instantly instead of having to wait for all of your abilities to run out, and maybe if the timer was a bit longer so you have time to do 2 full rotations. But also, in a way, those restrictions can push you to create custom rotations specifically optimized for the event, which I actually kind of enjoy instead of just strictly playing the exact same rotation you learned 3 years ago. However, there is one thing that I will always hate: enemies that are allergic to grouping. This is not fun, miHoYo. Please stop doing that. Anyway, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!